That's great. Now, and that's why it shows up in everything you talk, and it shows up in the book actually, that how realistic and how pragmatic this whole approach of bootstrapping is, and the way you explain it in the book is absolutely phenomenal. Now, talking about aspiring entrepreneurs, talking about the economy right now, talking about everything that's going on, the layoffs, the tight-fisted investors, and everything else going on in the economy and market right now. Is it a smart decision to start a business right now?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Especially for, the layoffs particularly make it vital to start businesses right now, because if you look at the reported number is 7.1 million people are unemployed at the moment, but that is an estimation because, the way the economists measure unemployment is a more conservative number. So the real number is larger. So somewhere between 7 to 9 million people are unemployed, and the economy doesn't have a lot of growth. So for large companies, they will not be able to absorb this population into jobs anytime soon. Yeah. So if you have been laid off from your corporate job, and if you're hoping to get a job, this is not going to be an easy transition or easy process of finding back another corporate job. So I think it would be very, very important for everybody at this point to have backup plans and to start exploring entrepreneurship, to generate jobs and income for yourselves, your families, and potentially build something, larger where you can create jobs for others. So the point is that a lot of people today need to become entrepreneurs and basically start up the job creation engine at a very large scale. So one of the stories in the Bootstrapping Weapon of Mass Reconstruction book is the story of Rafat Ali.
Yeah.
And Rafat graduated from journalism school during the dot-com meltdown, and he couldn't find a job. He basically bumped around from, all over New York for a while. He couldn't find a job. Eventually he moved to London, and he had started writing this blog, which eventually blogs took off, and the trends changed and the market came back, and then he sold his blog right before this crash, the 2008 crash, to Guardian. And again, that's a good story of how he created a job for himself. He created a job for he created a job for a number of people. I think at the end of, by the time he sold the company, I think there were 25, 30 people working for him. So this is a great case study of what needs to happen at a very large scale in America right now, in the world, I would say.
Yeah, that's very true. Now, yes, it is a smart time to start, but what would be some action steps that you would suggest for the aspiring entrepreneurs? Go do this, start building upon something, or some sort of action steps, because most of the employee attitude entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs who are kind of still trapped in the whole employee mindset, still need action steps. They want someone to tell them what to do, and as an entrepreneur, that's not always right, and that's not always correct, and doesn't always hold true, because sometimes there is no one to tell you what to do. But still, now that we have you here, an expert here, how about some action steps?
I think the number one action step I would give the group of people that you are describing, who are not perhaps natural risk takers or natural entrepreneurs. I'm a natural entrepreneur. I could live no other way. So it's like, I don't have an option but being an entrepreneur. But there are other people who are what I call caught in the X+1 syndrome. I'm going to do something next year. I'm going to start something next year. And then the next year becomes the next year and the next year and the next year. So for that, I would say, I would really suggest you read. You read stories of people building companies block by block. Yeah. You need to understand those baby steps. What happens between month 0 and month 1 of an entrepreneur's career? what happens, talk to people. If you know entrepreneurs who have started started companies of their own, talk to them. Understand that block by block process of the first 18 months of an entrepreneur's journey. So I've tried to give you a lot of that in the Entrepreneur Journey series. But you can get a lot more granular. I haven't, obviously it's a, 250 page book. It's hard to give you as much detail as you would probably want to learn. But I've tried to give you at least the beginning of it, so that you can learn what kinds of questions you need to ask, what kind of frameworks you need to understand, what is the process of business building. So, what do we fear? We fear the unknown. We fear what we don't understand. So the more you develop understanding about the process of entrepreneurship, of how to build, your company, what is the process of bringing a venture to market, bringing an idea to market? How do you validate the idea? How do you test the idea against your assumptions versus the market, and how do you gather feedback of the market? All that process will give you more and more comfort to help you move off the inertia.
Yeah.
So since you're talking about a segment of the population that are not natural risk takers, I would say it's a very important process to slowly remove that ignorance barrier. Ignorance is what causes the fear.
Yeah. That's true. Now, any other action steps you would have to suggest?
Well, I'm a big believer in philosophy.
Okay.
So, which is why if you remember, I ended the book's Bootstrapping Weapon of Mass Reconstruction book with a chapter on philosophy.
Yeah, I know.
And it talks about how to overcome your fear of failure.
Yeah.
And in that, I basically suggested go read on a variety of different types of philosophical books. These are kind of like a synopsis of the types of things I have read to develop my own personal philosophy. And I think this is a good time because there's not a lot going on. It's a recession economy. It's a slower economy. It's a good time to spend at least a little bit of your time on developing a philosophy.
Great. And honestly, the epilogue section was my favorite. Why be afraid of the failure? And I was just, because I wanted to quote you, I actually, while you were speaking, I just opened the book and the last page, because that is something that stuck to my head, and I really wanted to quote you word by word. So why be afraid of failure? That's the last sentence of the book, and I totally love it, because the whole point of entrepreneurship is, even if you fail, you learn so much, and you can utilize all that experience and all that learning that you just did into your next venture, or you can just improve upon that learning and that failure, and be a big success. So again, Sramana, thank you so much for your time, answers, your expertise. Thank you so much. Again, why be afraid of failure? Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
Bye.